The season of Lent begins with Ash Wednesday, but before that happens, a lot of people have fun. Years ago, the church bells would ring, signifying to the women of the village to start making your pancakes on Pancake Tuesday or Shrove Tuesday. Legend has it that a woman would run to the church to show the bishop that she had the very first pancake completed. To this day in England, there are indeed pancake races up and down the streets, people running and flipping their pancakes to get to the finish line. As you can see, I have a lot more practice before I enter any such race. This is a time known as Shrovetide, 3 days leading up to Ash Wednesday. And Shrove is basically an ancient word that means to confess. But in these 3 days, people would clean out their pantry of any excess food that was maybe considered a luxury. So on Sunday before Ash Wednesday was known as Shrove Sunday, and that would be the day you get rid of your eggs and more eggs. And then on Monday was Call-up Monday, in which you would eat all the meat. Shrove Tuesday, also known as Pancake Tuesday, was a time to get rid of all the flour, eggs, and milk and butter. And I share with you a wonderful recipe I found from 1787 known as pink pancakes, which is made by mashing up a boiled beet, adding flour and milk and sugar, and of course some brandy. And then you just mix it and put some nutmeg in it. And you keep stirring and stirring because we didn't use any baking powder or any baking soda to make it fluffy. So you had to beat it a lot to make it fluffy. It is said that George Washington served these pink pancakes at very special dinner parties. Being that Ash Wednesday and Valentine's Day fall on the same day, I thought it was appropriate to make pink pancakes for this Shrove Tuesday. My friends, welcome to Olde Stone Well Farm. One of the things I love about this old house is my pantry. Originally, it wasn't a pantry, it was a closet. But I, in my desire to live in the 18th century, insisted that we had to move the refrigerator into that closet because I couldn't stand having it out in the kitchen to be seen by everybody. I'm still having a hard time with the stove and the dishwasher. Don't get me wrong, I love modern conveniences, but oh, I wish I could live in the 1700s. But I also still want to be married, and so I know it's a compromise. My husband does appreciate modern conveniences. I light it with candles, but my husband did insist on putting recessed lighting in the ceiling because for some reason he wants to be able to find the potato chips that are in the cupboard. But I did light my candle and go into the cupboards to start cleaning them out because we are in the season of Shrovetide. As I explained, Shrovetide are the 3 days leading up to Ash Wednesday, which for Christians lead us into the season of Lent, which is several weeks leading us to Easter. It is a time in which we prepare for Easter by entering into the wilderness with Jesus, by making our way with him to the cross. And on that journey, hopefully, we learn how to trust God more. The season of Lent has always been marked by living simply. And so you would have Shrovetide, in which the faithful would clean out their cupboards and getting rid of all the excess and anything that was gluttonous so that they could enter into Lenten season with just eating simply. They would use Sunday, a Shrovetide, to get rid of all the eggs, and then Monday would be the day to get rid of all the meat. And then Tuesday would be the last day of Shrovetide, and you would whip up the pancakes because that got rid of all of the flour and the milk and the butter. Now, I never grew up with Shrovetide. I only grew up with Pancake Tuesday. What kid doesn't like to have pancakes for dinner? It was my highlight of the winter. I just adored it. It wasn't until recently that I learned that the other name for Pancake Tuesday was Shrive Tuesday, which I explain comes from the ancient word shrive, which means to confess. And so Shrove Tuesday was really Confess Tuesday. It was a day to make your final batch of pancakes and get rid of everything. And then you went to the church to confess your sins. I have only recently embraced the season of Shrovetide. I love that it comes in the winter, a few weeks after, the Christmas holidays, and it is a great time to kind of start your spring cleaning by cleaning out your pantry. It is a great time to get rid of all of the food that's just weighing me down. I view Shrovetide as my season to reset my life, to once again refocus on feeling better, eating better, living more simply, basically just getting right with God. And that brings me to Shrive Tuesday and the whole act of shriving, confessing. As a pastor, I have heard throughout the years that many people in our time of worship do not like the prayer of confession. In fact, there was one church I served where someone actually tried to get the prayer of confession out of the order of worship. They felt that this public prayer that we said together was just very hurtful, that it felt like we were being beat up, that we were being told how bad we are, and it just wasn't very nice, and they wanted to come to church and feel good. I can understand that, but there is something therapeutic about confessing. As I thought about this resistance to embracing confession, I realized that many times it's hard for us to really see the gunk that is in our lives, to really see the gunk. And that's the only word I could best describe what I'm trying to say to you, gunk. The stuff that is in us that just weighs us down, the anger, the jealousy, the hurt, being nasty perhaps. We're not perfect and we're not God. And I think that is why we have confession, that time to remember we don't have all the answers, we don't have our lives together, and there is that part in all of us that harbors not being nice. And I'm trying to be nice about it. But we all have it in us, and we slip up, and sometimes we say hurtful things either on purpose or by mistake. It's just how we are wired. And so we have that time of confession to remember that we can slip. But even though we can slip, even though we're not perfect, there is a God who will pick us back up. There is a God who sees that we can take steps to being kinder and being nicer. I thought about it some more, especially as I was cleaning out the pantry, getting ready for the season of Lent, and physically cleaning out of all the things, the items that are not basically healthy and that can wear me down or just isn't good for me. Thinking more about shriving, confessing, and what is our resistance to it. I think in order to be our best, we need to recognize our worst. And I could rattle off a list for you of everything that I have identified in myself that isn't the best. But I want to keep this video 15 minutes or less. And I don't think I want to turn our time together into a full-length movie about all of my quirks that are really not great for me. I don't know, maybe it would go viral. Maybe you would love to hear that. But in the spirit of shriving, I will confess that I am my own worst critic. I doubt myself to the point where it paralyzes me. I also have a little green-eyed monster inside of me that I will see what somebody else is doing that I wanted to do, but because of my doubts, I didn't do it. And then I see somebody else just being bold and doing it, and I do get a little jealous. And I'm working on that. I know that that is something that is not very healthy. Over the years, I've come to realize that we're all beautifully made and we all have a gift to bring to this world. And there's no reason to be jealous of anybody else. Especially being a writer, there's always the idea you have in your head for a book, and then you see somebody else wrote it and got it out there before you, and you're thinking, oh no. So that is part of my confession. I am sharing with you that the gunk in me tends to be my self-doubt, which leads me to become paralyzed and not do things, and then I get into a deeper depression. And then when somebody dares to do the idea that I'm afraid of doing, I get jealous. And this feels so good to share that with you because I'm sure I'm not alone. As we prepare to take those steps towards Easter, into spring, into new life, I invite you to reset your life. For me, Shrovetide is like that reset, that time to physically clean out the pantries and to spiritually clean out my soul, to really get rid of the things that are not good for me and to identify the things that I could strive to do better with. So this time of shriving, this time of confession, is a time to clean out our souls. It is a time not to make ourselves feel badly about the things that we have done or do, but it is a time to recognize that to be our best, we need to identify our worst. Give it to God in prayer. God, create in me a clean heart. So I invite you in this season of Shrovetide to whip up some pancakes and shrive a little bit. Confess. Identify the things that are holding you back, weighing you down. Clean out your pantry. Clean out your house. Clean out your closets. Clean out your soul. Make room for God to really bring out the best in you because He does see the best in you. For if we are to be our best, we need to know what our worst is. Now, before I flip those pancakes some more, I'm going to share with you another confession, and I'm keeping this one for my husband. I confess that I really hate modern living, and I'm going to try in the season of Lent to go off the grid as best as I can. I know I still need to be connected because I do have a day job. I will be on social media and using some electric, but I'm going to try my best to really curtail the usage. It's going to be interesting to see what happens as I try to go to bed when the sun goes down, get up when the sun comes up. Okay, my friends, prayers for my husband as I embark on my desire to live more and more in the 18th century. I have pancakes to flip, you have a pantry to clear out, and you have some shriving to do. And I will see you for Ash Wednesday and Valentine's Day. God bless.